After you have learned the basics, you enter another stage where you start chesting bigger things, and then after the beginnings, after the intermediate stage, you now enter the advanced stage. So advanced is you already know it, but you just want to get better, learn other techniques, and basically stand stronger in the whole fashion sewing thing. So what I have here with me is just beginners course outline. If you want something more, then you can just let me know. But before I start listing out what I have here, there's something I just want to say. If you are teaching yourself how to sew, you are learning how to sew on your own, I would assume you should know that the dedication you would put, or you would work twice as hard as if you were going to a fashion school. So now the difference is that if you're going to a fashion school, you will literally be handed all this information and these teachings on a platter of gold, because I mean you paid for it and that's why you are here, or that's why you are there. But if you are going to be learning on your own, you need to put in twice as much work as those people that go to fashion school, because your own is not on the platter. You have to work for this information. Thank God for so many YouTube videos now that help people with this information for free. But yeah, what I just wanted to know is that you need to work twice as hard as every other person that is going to fashion school. And also, I want you to understand that it is a process. It is step by step. Don't jump from the beginning and try to learn something that even the advanced class students have not even started learning. Nobody is saying you should not be like push your limit. When I started learning, I pushed my limit. It did me a lot of good, and it also did me bad, because there were now some basics that I skipped, I jumped, because I did not follow due process. So I'll just advise that you follow due process, so that when you get just imagine you get to the stage where you know how to make corsets so well, but then you are lost for one simple neckline. You don't even know how to do a round neckline well. It may be nice that you can make that corset, but it doesn't really make sense that you skip the basics. So make sure you just follow the process. You don't have to rush it. The process can be slow and steady. Different people have different learning process, different learning span. So don't say your friend learned with 2 weeks, you want to learn with 2 weeks and rush, and then you end up scattering everything in your brain. So just follow the process, study yourself, know the time limits, know what you can take, and then work with that. So let's get into the course outline. So for someone that is learning how to sew yourself, or you are just starting, I would advise that before you pick up your scissors, I've said it in my previous video, before you pick up your scissors, your paper, or your material to cut, you want to try and use at least 2 or 3 weeks, 1 month to give yourself like a pre-sewing class. This is something I skipped and I regretted it a bit. So anybody starting now, I advise you to give yourself a pre-sewing class. So what is in a pre-sewing class? What does a pre-sewing class entail? In a pre-sewing class, is like the theoretical part of sewing. That's why it's called pre-sewing. It's like the theoretical part of sewing. So in a pre-sewing class, you would have to learn what fashion designing is all about. First, you already know why you want to learn. You know if you're learning for commercial purposes, you know if you're learning for yourself, or whichever reason you want to learn as a hobby, anything. But you need to know what fashion designing is all about, from the sewing to the term and everything like that. Then under the pre-sewing class, you want to get familiar with fashion terms like hemming, hem gum. I don't know, fashion terms, all these terms are, when you hear it, you'll be like, you know it's a fashion term. You just want to go online, browse different fashion terms, and learn as many as you can, so that when you start watching videos or hear people talking about this thing, they don't sound alien to you. Next thing you want to do is get familiar with colors and fabrics. Now please, before I continue, let me pause and say this. I'm giving this outline. It is based on what I created. It is based on what I feel like would be easy and better for anybody learning. I'm not saying you have to follow this, or this is the only course outline. If not, you won't learn. Don't get me wrong, but this is just me dishing out advice, and if you'd love to take it, then that would be nice. Now you need to get familiar with colors and fabrics. For colors, if you knew royal beef, red, orange, green, yellow, violet, indigo, the normal colors, you should know that when you enter fashion, it is way more than that. There is turquoise blue, there is sea green, there is teal green, there is aqua green. Like, there are so many colors that ordinarily, if you were not into fashion, you wouldn't even hear about the colors. So you want to start looking at those colors. Just browse fashion colors, browse every single color you can think, so that your eyes can just be accustomed to these different colors. And then for fabrics too, don't wait till you start sewing and you can, as you sew, you can't know all the fabrics, I'm not going to lie, but as you sew, you would learn more. But don't wait till you start sewing before you start asking, is this lining and things like that. Ask questions. If you have somebody, you can go to the market, ask anybody. That's why there are fashion communities. You see, I'm always hammering on fashion communities in my videos. Join fashion communities, ask questions. find somebody to tag along with to go to market, so you can know different kinds of fabrics as well as different kinds of colors. Next thing you want to focus on is getting familiar with fashion tools. Just like you're getting familiar with colors and fabrics, get familiar with fashion tools, get familiar with what a sewing scissors looks like, what a tape looks like.